Galera, hoje é Assassin's Creed Day, pelo menos no momento, né, no dia que eu estou gravando esse vídeo, é Assassin's Creed Day. Eu não sei se eu vou soltar esse vídeo ainda hoje, porque eu já soltei 2, mas talvez sim, não sei, qualquer coisa, amanhã eu solto, domingo, e você tá vendo esse vídeo no Domingão do Caliuzão. Bom, seguinte, cara, a Ubisoft acaba de soltar um making of em comemoração, né, aos 15 anos de Assassin's Creed 2, contando detalhes sobre como ele foi feito. E obviamente eu entrei em parafuso, mano. São 19 minutos de vídeo. Eu tô louco pra ver, mas obviamente eu não ia ver sozinho. Eu quero ver junto de vocês, argumentando, comentando. O que eles vão falar aqui, eu tô curioso. Bora lá, vamos ver o que a Ubisoft tá falando. E mais uma vez, feliz dia Assassin's Creed pra vocês, tá? Bora lá.
Hello everyone, I'm Jean Guédon and I'm super happy to be with you today for this special anniversary video for Assassin's Creed 2. I worked more than a decade on the franchise, and before becoming the creative directors of Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag and Assassin's Creed Origins, I had the privilege to be part of the team as a game designer who developed during 2 years Assassin's Creed 2 that was so important in the development of the franchise. So hope you'll enjoy it and that you will discover some secrets and insights on how the team built together this incredible game.
Que da hora, velho. Bom, um apresentão pra comunidade esse vídeo, né, cara? Que legal. É um dos jogos mais amados, cara.
One of the first things we did when starting to think about AC2 was actually to take a look back, a serious analysis of what its predecessor delivered. So if we go back in 2007, AC1 just came out and it was a huge success. We knew we made something very special. The narrative was unique, the visual beauty was stunning, players really enjoyed the parkour, and basically the team knew it could do much more and much better. Because for AC1 we were developing
Época de ouro da Ubisoft, né? Puta merda.
Also the engine at the same time. And so now we would benefit from the stability of the technology to really deliver the full vision of what Assassin's Creed could become.
Tanto que, por conta de Assassin's Creed 2, que muita gente veio pra saga.
What we started to do was to identify the gameplay pillars of the game. What was making Assassin's Creed so special as a video game? And the 3 pillars that really stood out were definitely the free run, so this ability to climb everywhere, to run on rooftops, etc. was the fight, and was also the social stealth.
Boa.
And we identified some clear areas of improvement, particularly on the management of the crowd, the game structure, but there was also the missions. We knew that missions needed to be more varied, and that we would need to use these iconic gameplays like free run, fighting, and social stealth to bring missions to the next level when it comes to the experience for the player.
Are you ready to test yourselves with a game of speed and endurance?
So we made our mind clear of on the things that we wanted to keep and build upon, and on the things that we wanted to clearly improve. So the first question was, do we keep Altair and continue in the same setting? And internally, there were some debates because Altair was well received. We had an IP in the making, and it was also a risk to create a new character, a new era, a new time period to explore. But Patrice Desilets, the creative director, and Corey May, the lead writer, were convinced that Italian Renaissance was actually the perfect era.
Olha a ideia, mano. Eles iriam continuar com a saga do Altair, o que é o normal, né? De qualquer saga, franquia que estabeleceu sucesso e tal. E foram ousados. Vamos ser bem sinceros aqui. Eles foram muito ousados em já no segundo jogo mudar o protagonista. Cara, eu nunca tinha parado pra pensar isso. O quão isso impactaria hoje, né? Hoje eu acho que... Ó, a gente tem um exemplo clássico do quão não é bem-vindo isso muitas das vezes. Vocês acompanham o canal e acompanham, né, os burburinhos, o bafafá que teve da troca do Jin Sakai pela Atsu, se eu não estiver enganado é Atsu, né? A protagonista do segundo game. Né? tá até hoje um bafafá, porque todo mundo queria continuar com o Jin Sakai e tal. E na época, não duvido que tenha sido tão diferente. Até jogarem e descobrirem que Assassin's Creed 2 foi 10 vezes mais da hora que o Assassin's Creed 1. Então, sei lá, né? Já temos aí um precedente. Então, ó, você que tá reclamando da Atsu, vai que Ghost of Yotei é o Assassin's Creed 2 da franquia. Mano, a gente não sabe, galera. Espera, mano. Muita gente começa a descer o pau no bagulho sem jogar. Espera, mano. Espera. Os caras ousaram aqui, trocaram o protagonista e realmente esse foi o jogo que trouxe todo mundo daquela época pra dentro de Assassin's Creed. Ezio é ovacionado até hoje. Deu tão certo que os 3 jogos seguidos foi com o cara. Manja. Não tô dizendo que os próximos jogos também seja com a Atsu, mas espera, mano. Vai que é o Assassin's Creed 2 dos caras, né? Mas não sabe, mano. Bom, bora aí.
For that. It was a time of
Faz
conspiracy with a lot of mystery, a lot of romanticism. With Assassin's Creed 2, we really wanted to leverage the power of the Animus to explore pivotal moments of history. And Italian Renaissance was a perfect moment for that. It was also bringing some opportunities when it came to gameplay with the creation of the banking system and the money that we wanted to use. And it was also full of historical characters that were very striking. First being Leonardo da Vinci, obviously. So for all these reasons, we set sails for the Italian Renaissance, creating Ezio.
Do you know what brings us here tonight?
Ezio is so memorable for so many players because he's a human first. You meet him as a baby and you follow his development.
Conhece ele desde bebê,
from
mano, real.
Teenager to adult to assassin to leader, and this was really the initial idea of AC2. We wanted to follow him because he would be then the perfect proxy for the players to learn how to play and to learn more about the conspiracies going on. He's a young noble that is reluctant to authority, that likes life, to play with his friends, to fight alongside his friends, to has good relationship with his brothers and sister and family, and he's really carefree and enjoying life. Quite the opposite of the cold assassin that Altair was.
Bem oposto mesmo, né, do Altair.
The birth of Ezio is a very important scene because not only it is rare to actually see your hero as a newborn baby, but it's also the very first tutorial of the game. Assassin's Creed at that time had a very particular control scheme that we called internally the puppeteer, where the 4 face buttons would actually represent the different parts of the bodies, the legs, the 2 arms and the head. And this is what, as a player, you're asked to do to literally bring Ezio to life.
Você já parou, né, mano, pra pensar que realmente, cara, com o Ezio, nós começamos desde que ele foi um neném. Os primeiros movimentos do personagem, quem deu foi você.
First, you has to move his legs, then his right arm, then his left arm, and then finally have him cry using the Y button for the head.
Listen to him. A fine set of lungs.
And what shall we call him, my love?
Ezio. Ezio Auditore da Firenze.
Besides the narrative differences between Ezio and Altair, we needed to find his visual attributes, his visual identity. It took us quite some time to actually nail the character, what the character would look like. We wanted to create a connection, kind of a legacy from Assassin's Creed 1.
Olha como poderia ter sido
At the
Ezio,
same
mano.
time, Ezio had to be a real, credible Italian Renaissance young noble. We had to embrace the new time period and find the way to integrate our iconic elements like the blade, like the hood and the robe, but in a plausible way for this time period. And this was the very first time we had to do this exercise. It's now repeated for each Assassin's Creed, and it's always a challenge to be faithful to the brand, but at the same time paying a good tribute to the time period we were visiting.
Maravilhoso, maravilhoso. Que documentário lindo, velho.
One of the big focus when creating Assassin's Creed 2 was to create a very strong story, a very strong narrative.
A melhor dos três pra mim,
the life of
desculpa.
Ezio. And for that, we acknowledged and we agreed to
Eu sei que o Revelations é
a bit of the
foda
freedom we
demais.
wanted to bring to the
Mas eu
players
gosto
in
do
Assassin's
nascimento do
Creed
herói,
1,
velho.
and instead propose to the players
A
a
ascensão do herói.
carefully crafted narrative, strong story, cherry-picking the best sequences of Ezio's life.
Ezio! Thank God!
What happened? Where is everyone?
And this story is a story of revenge, taking Ezio as this young, betrayed Florentian noble to this master assassin.
Imagina um remake disso aqui, galera.
This quest offered us a huge variety and a huge diversity of situations that would allow us to leverage and make shine the gameplay pillars that we identified early on the conception. The navigation, the social stealth, and the fight were at the core of this progression and were carefully introduced by the narrative. A good example of that is the meeting with the courtesans in Florence, teaching Ezio how to hide in the crowd. At the same time, you meet Leonardo, that will become your head, providing you with all your tools and gadgets, making you kind of a James Bond of the Italian Renaissance.
Incredible. Yes, it is.
Assassin's Creed 2 is really about learning things, about being taught how to do things. And it's true for the players through Ezio,
Dá até um negócio no
you do
coração,
that
mano.
with Ezio so that Desmond can learn that in the present day. And so as you can see, everything is well nested, and it makes sense not only from a gameplay standpoint, but also from a narrative at each layers of the Assassin's Creed universe, including the present day. This synchronization between gameplay introduction and narrative is very important to not fall into a ludonarrative dissonance. A game is always better when you have the narrative and the gameplay that are totally in sync. When you ask the players to do something that is absolutely relevant for the character on the screen. And this is what all the prologue of Assassin's Creed 2 is doing. You're exposing Ezio's family, the things that he will lose, that he's caring about, while actually introducing the very basic systems of the game. And it also keeps the capacity to bring some very striking and memorable moments like the betrayal of his family, like the hanging of his father and brothers, that really kickstarts his assassin's journey.
Father! I'll kill you for what you've done!
To illustrate that, I really like the scene when Ezio actually enter the hidden room of his father and find the robes and the equipment and the gears of the assassins.
Isso precisa ter remake,
It's new
galera.
to him. He's discovering that his father had a secret life. And it's a very highly symbolic scene. Ezio's taking his father's robe. He's literally becoming an adult, entering a new life.
Esse jogo é tão especial, cara.
When analyzing Assassin's Creed 1, we realized that the main missions were actually not leveraging the key strength of the game. And this we wanted to correct with Assassin's Creed 2. This is why we clearly identified the three game pillars, navigation, combat, and social stealth, to make that at the center, to put that at the center of the game, and have all the other systems and missions and enemies and whatnot support these, because this is where the game would shine. One of the very first prototypes we made was about improving the social stealth, allowing players basically to blend with every group of NPCs, but also controlling them, using them as a tool for the players so that they could express themselves. On the navigation aspect, we focused a lot on increasing the climbing pace for more comfort. We knew that buildings were much higher in Florence and Venice than they were in Jerusalem and Damascus.
Pode crer.
And so we needed to fasten the climbing. Adding also some gameplay elements like the corner swings to make navigations along the facades and the buildings much more smooth and fun.
Como é bom, né?
For the combat, we added a lot of moves, new weapons, enemy archetypes, also the ability to disarm an enemy and finish him with his own weapon, which was super cool.
Cara,
We managed
mano, vocês estão conseguindo notar agora, anos depois e tal, o quão grande foi o salto que Assassin's Creed teve do 1 pro 2? Cara, é outro jogo, velho. Mano, é outro jogo. Olha a quantidade de coisas que foram adicionadas, melhoradas, estabelecidas, né? Pro segundo jogo, cara. Coisas que não tínhamos no primeiro. Cara, foi um dos maiores saltos da saga. Sem sombra de dúvida. Sem sombra de dúvida. Que absurdo, cara.
to interconnect everything based on the three key gameplay pillars. Because the enemy archetypes were built to challenge you on these pillars. The agile enemies were challenging you on the rooftops. The brutes were the big armored guy, quite hard to beat in the combat. While the seekers, the guys with their big spear, was actually hunting you in the haystack or in the group of citizens. On the positive side, you had your allies with the factions, with the thieves, helping you in the navigation, the courtesans in the social stealth, and the mercenaries for the combat. And if you look at side missions, they were also designed to challenge you on these three pillars. The tombs, the secret tombs,
Nossa, a melhor parte,
the
velho.
deliveries were challenging navigation.
Saudade das tumbas,
The
mano.
beat-up missions were for the combat, and the assassin contracts for the stealth. And this is how we managed to interconnect all the systems of the game, making Assassin's Creed 2 a very coherent experience, from the narrative to the introduction of the gameplays and all the variety of activities that were actually leveraging the strength of the game. At this moment, roughly end of 2008, we felt that we really strengthened the core experience, and we're quite happy about that. But we actually wanted to go further in order to leverage to its maximum this fantastic time period. And this is why we actually worked hard to broaden the experience with a bigger variety of things to do and locations to visit. And this is when we added the tombs, the secret locations, the exotic missions with the flying machine of Leonardo, with the car.
Tem como não amar isso aqui, cara? Ah, na moral. Cara, não tem como não amar essa franquia, velho. Pelo amor de Deus. Passamos por tempos turbulentos. Estamos passando, principalmente agora. Estamos, sim, mais uma vez, né? Mas, pô, cara... Dizer que isso aqui não é um marco dos videogames, dizer que não é uma das franquias mais impressionantes já produzidas, cara, é loucura. Cara, que da hora, velho. E pra mim eles poderiam fazer esse tipo de documentário pra todos os games da saga, velho. Que rico, né?
Than a chase in the mountains, also with the subject 16 puzzles, allowing us to dig deeper in the lore. Another addition that we brought to the game was the light RPG system of Monterey Journey. We already had the place where we would meet, hey, it's me, Mario, our uncle, that would tell us more about the assassins, but the place was the perfect location actually to let Ezio spend his money, because for the first time in the game we had an economic system, and so you would gain money, loot people, gain money when doing missions. And we needed some place where to spend this money. And Monterey Journey, which is the familial domain, was the perfect location for that.
Yeah.
This mansion really became the hideout of Ezio, and the place for the player to look at all its successes. You could
Isso é
see
muito legal.
your weapons, your collections, and also support the
Eu nunca
time period
completei
once
todos
again,
esses lugares.
with your collections of
Vergonha.
paintings and souvenirs from the era. This system was also at the root of what became the rebuilding of Rome in Brotherhood. One thing that is super important with Assassin's Creed 2, I think also, is the fact that this game really set the fact that we were actually creating more than one story. We were creating a universe. And we were creating a very coherent universe. This is why we created the Vault in Monteriggioni, where you would discover statues and tombs of ancient assassins. This was meant to show that this brotherhood existed for a long time period in many different countries, hinting to many different stories for the future. So in the past, you create the connection between Altair and Ezio, with the Codex, for example, with all these assassin tombs. But the artifacts also, the Apple of Eden and the Staff of Eden, are actually the connection towards another layer, which is the first civilization. This is the first time we meet with Minerva, and this is actually sending the message that there is always something new to discover.
Quem não surtou com esse final tá morto por dentro. Fala aí, você levou um susto violento quando ela olhou pra você? Eu levei. Todo mundo, né?
In the Assassin's Creed universe. Even in the present day, when Desmond actually realized that there was a Subject 16, and he is himself Subject 17, which makes the conspiracy, which makes the present day layer, narrative layer, even more intriguing and full of opportunities. During AC2's development, we were referring to this narrative structure, global narrative structure, as the onion. Because when you understand it, you realize that you're in the present day to enter an animus, allowing you to revisit memories in the past, looking for artifacts coming from an even more ancient civilization. And these layers allow us to tell stories in multiple directions.
The rest is up to you, Desmond.
Nossa.
Who is Desmond?
The best example showing these layers and their connection is Subject 16 dropping glyphs in the simulation for Desmond to find these little puzzles about artifacts through centuries that actually lead to the truth video showcasing Adam and Eve's escape from the first civilization. This is this meta-narrative stitching together all the different layers that we can explore. A cool thing about AC2 is the previous Leon, you know, when Desmond is actually recapping the events of Assassin's Creed 1. And this was really, at the time, totally in phase with the TV series that were expanding and using that. And this notion of episodic sequel was important for us because it was helping create the franchise and helping us actually introduce a new character, a new setting, a new hero.
My name is Desmond Miles, and this is my story.
So to summarize, in retrospect and 15 years after the release of the game, I think that all this made it the success it was and still is today as one of the key foundation of this franchise we love. This well-intertwined mix between a very strong narrative, a very relatable character that goes through adventures, sorrow and victory, mixed with deep and varied gameplay, situations, locations. The writing also brought a lot to the experience, the music, and all the elements were there together to do this masterpiece. And I think that on behalf of the whole development team of Assassin's Creed 2, I can say that we're super, super proud of what we made back in the days. Like Ezio was saying, insieme per la vittoria.
Insieme!